Welcome to Buildawebs, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you my top 3 social media sharing plugins. Let's get into it. So the first one I'm going to show you is Shareaholic. So we need to go to the WordPress dashboard, so go to your site name /WP admin, and then hover over plugins and then click add new. And then where it says search plugins, search Addtoany. And it's this one with a big blue plus. Click install now. And choose activate. Choose dismiss. And then when you find the plugin here, click settings. And then you've got standard and you've got floating. I'll cover these one step at a time, but first of all, I'll open the website up in a new tab. And then we'll go through the standard one, and then we'll do the floating one. So you can change stuff like the icon style, how many pixels it is, the background, the foreground, but we're not going to change these, we're just going to leave them as default, but you can change them if you want. So to add or remove services, just click on this button. And then you can just simply click on one to remove it. If you want to add it, click on and just add as many as you want. So I'm going to put Facebook, Twitter, email and Pinterest. But you could add any ones you want. There's also the option to add the like button, the tweet button and pin it to Pinterest. You can choose what universal button you have. So if you click on this button, you can put a URL, or you could just simply have it as text. You could not have the button at all, or you could show account. I'm just going to leave it as a universal button. And then you've got the option here where it says share and header, and you can type whatever you want. You could say share me, share this, share, whatever you want it to be. And then you've got placement. So you say whether you want it to display on the bottom of posts. So as it sounds, it's just on the bottom of the post. I'm going to leave that ticked. Next one, display at the bottom of post on the front page. Let's leave that ticked. Next one, display at the bottom of posts on archive pages. Leave that ticked. Display at the bottom of posts in the feed. Let's leave that ticked. The only one we'll untick is this one and this one. I'll leave the rest of them ticked. And then you've got different options. And then click Save Changes. And then when we go to the website and we go to say Shop News, let's refresh. And click into it. And then there's the share buttons, so you can click on one of them. And for example, it'll share on Facebook, but it would do the same on Twitter, same on Pinterest. So it opens up and then the user can share it. So if we go into the shop and we click on this one, for example, you see you've got your share buttons underneath. If we go back on here, and we tick these two, we click Save Changes. We can go to the home page. When you go to the bottom, you can see the share options. Let's go back to Shop News, and you can see now that I've refreshed, you've also got the share buttons there. So if you hover over the plus, it gives you more options, and then you can click more and it brings up a list of endless different sharing options that you can use, and you just click off to go off. So that's the standard sharing options. If you want to add a floating option that will appear on the left hand side or on the right or wherever you want, you can go back in and choose floating, and then you can have it appear on the left hand side or the right hand side. I'm going to put it on the left. And most of these settings you can just leave them as they are. This one you can change, so it'll appear somewhere like up towards the top, but you could, for example, put 200 or 300 and it'll appear further down. Most of the stuff I just leave as it is. The only thing that I do is on horizontal buttons, I choose center docked. Now I'll show you what the results look like. So if you click Save Changes, and then if we go on here and we refresh, you'll see buttons appear there. And again, you've got the option where you can click More and choose which one you want to share with. If, for example, you want to see it on mobile, right click and go on Inspect. This is the same on Mac and same on Windows. And then you'll see how the buttons look like on here. So again, you just click plus, choose which option you want, or you could, for example, share on Twitter. Then you can share the post. So the advantages and disadvantages of this plugin. So I'd say a big advantage, you can set it up very, very quickly, and it's really easy to use. There isn't that many options, but with there not being that many options, it's not very customizable. And one thing that I found is when you're on like here, for example, there might not be every single option that you might want, but there is a lot of options that you can use, and compared to other sharing plugins in WordPress, there is a lot that you can use. Some other plugins you can only use 2 or 3, but you know, you just keep ticking away. So that's the first plugin, called Addtoany. I'll now have a look at the next one. So now let's have a look at the next social media sharing plugin. This one's called Shareaholic, and I think it's really good. So if you go on your WordPress dashboard, site name /WP admin, go to plugins and click Add New, and then search for Shareaholic. And it's this one that appears here. Choose Install Now, and then choose Activate. Click Get Started. And then just choose the reason why you want to use Shareaholic. So grow your audience. Choose the one that you want. So I like this plugin because it doesn't just offer sharing features. There's all sorts of other things, but I'm going to cover this in another video. So keep an eye out for it. If you want to see it, hit the subscribe button. You won't miss it. So we'll go to apps, and then we'll go to social. And then what you can do is you can enable floated share buttons. So if you enable this and you go to settings, you can choose which ones you want to show. So say for example you want to take some off, you can click on the X there and it'll take it off. You can also drag it round on screen, and you can do the same on mobile. So it even shows you what it looks like on mobile. Again, you can exit out, you can drag round, and to add in, you can use this on the side. So you click on Pinterest, and this is the sharing button, but you could click on native user interface and see what it looks like on there. Just go back to desktop, and again on desktop, you could, for example, untick, tick, and add them in. Again, just drag them around, and then there's all sorts of different customizing options. And just like we've done on mobile, you can switch there. can even turn off the more options button. Turn it back on. And there's all sorts of ways that you can customize it. So if we go to desktop, you can change the size of it. I quite like in the middle. You can turn a counter on, which shows how many shares have happened. Leave it off. And then you can choose where you want it on the left or the right. And you can change how far you have it from the top. You can choose custom colors where you can put things in. You can turn on a total share count, so it'll show you a combination of all of them. So you can see it's very customizable and you can do it all on screen in front of you. It's the same with mobile. And then to save, just click Save Changes. And then there's all sorts of different rules that you can put in. So for example, this one here on desktop. So show it when the visitor scrolls down 5 pixels of the screen. So it won't immediately show, but then it will show as soon as it starts scrolling. But you can put in all sorts of different settings. So compared to other plugins, it adds a lot more customization. And then you can link it to Google Analytics to show how each one's performing. So that's that one. Click Save Changes. And then if we go back out, and then you can add, for example, a Pinterest button on images that the people can click on and then share it on Pinterest. So to turn it on, again, just click that. It'll go green. Click Settings. As you can see there, you've got the Pinterest button. If you wanted to add more buttons, you could click Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We'll just leave those free for the minute. And again, you can play about. You can have them look the classic way, flat circle. You can change the size of them. Change the layouts. They could go that way. We'll leave it that way. And then you can choose the position of where they appear in there. So just leave it in the left. You could have custom colors. So that's that one. Choose Save Changes and click X. And then you've got these share buttons here, which, for example, you could turn on to show share buttons below the post. So you just tick that box there, turn it on. Then in the settings, you can choose what you want to show. So again, you could, for example, X some of them off that you don't want to show. Leave these ones on, for example. And then there's all sorts of customize options, as I showed before. Works the same and change different things around. You can turn the counter off. But I'd say a big plus about this plugin is, I'll just hit save. Is that based on where you show it on the website, whether it's below the post, below content, below categories, you can have it looking different on different ones. There's a lot more customization available. So we'll cover these ones. Let's turn this one up on, for example. Let's turn this one on. And we'll just leave it with the standard settings and we'll have a look. So they're all saved. So if we go to the website, let's just X out of this. Let's hit refresh. So you'll see all the different, on this page, so if you go to shop news, you've got the floating share buttons there, which you can close. You've got all the share buttons under posts. You can do that. And then if we go to, for example, a product page, you've got the share buttons underneath, but you've also, like you had on the other page, you've got the Pinterest button. Click on, and you can put it in Pinterest. So a major plus of this plugin is that it's highly customizable. As you saw when we were in here, you've got all sorts of different options with the share buttons that you can have them looking different depending on where they are on the website. Another thing is there's all sorts of other options in this plugin that you can do analytics, all sorts of different prompts like cookie consent, for example. All sorts of different ways, like you can add affiliate links to your site, all sorts of other things that help bring visitors to the site. Like I say, I'm going to do another video on this, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. A negative is, for some users, it might be seen as overcomplicated, but I feel like they've put it together in quite an organised way. And once you've used it for a few minutes, you sort of get your head round how it's going to work. But overall, it's a brilliant sharing plugin. So now I'm going to show you my third and final favourite sharing plugin. So if you want your WordPress dashboard, the site name /WP admin, and then go to plugins, then add new. And in the search for Sassy social sharing, and then it's this one here. Click install now, and then if you go down into the plugins and you click on settings, you can also access that by clicking on the side, and you can change what the icons look like. So you can have them squares, you can see there, you can have it rectangle. I quite like them round, so change that on both of them, on the standard one and the floating one, and then just click save changes. No need to make any changes unless you want to. And then one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the standard standard sharing options and then the floating ones. So if we click on the standard, you can give it a different title if you want. If you want to turn it off, you just tick that box. So if we scroll down, you can choose which ones you want. So I'm basically going to take off these three and Reddit. So one thing is it's not as easy on this to be able to find them. You just have to look for the tick boxes really. As you can see here, it's just a bit of a carry on to see them really, even though it's obvious that it's only a tick box. There it is. And we'll leave these ones enabled, and then you can choose whether you want it on the left, centre, right. We'll just leave it on the left for now, and you can also choose if you want it on the top or the bottom of the content. Actually, let's choose centre, and then you can choose where you want it to display on the website. So I'm going to take it off pages, leave it on posts, on excerpts and post pages, on categories, products. Let's put it on all these, but you can choose what you want and then choose save changes. And then when you go to the website and you go to the home, you'll see that there's all the floating options, but we're going to configure that next. But if you can see that you've got the sharing options there, which you can click on any of those and it'll take you to the site. You can also click on this and it'll give you all the different options that you can share on. If you click into it, you've got the sharing options. And then if you go on shop, you've got the sharing options on the product, but if you click into it, you've also got the sharing options there, as you can see. So now let's see about customizing the floating settings. So let's go back into WordPress and click on floating interface. Make sure this is ticked so it shows it. And then what you can do, you can add and remove them, or you could, for example, drag them about. And this works the same on the standard interface as well. So if you wanted to change them around, you could. So then, yeah, so you can add them by, for example, clicking there, remove them by clicking again. Let's take some of the ones off that we don't want. Again, I do find this a bit annoying how it works this way, but it does give you a lot of options. So just leave it as that, but you could also add these where you could do share, like, recommend, for example, tweet. Let's just leave these ticked and let's enable some more. Then click Save Changes. And then when we refresh, when we go to the other screen, we'll see that we have these options here, which you can click on, it'll share, but also you have all these other options that you can share to, so a quite substantial amount. And then it's available on different pages. If, for example, you wanted to move this down, you can do that by changing the top offset to, say, 300, saving, and then refreshing. So feel free to have a play about with that. Overall, I think it's a good sharing plugin. There's many options that you've seen here, but the downside is it's a bit of a carry on to find it on the list and see it. But overall, when you go on, for example, mobile, so if you right click and choose inspect, it's the same on Windows and Mac. It looks quite good on the sharing features. So if we go on like 100%, for example, there's the different options along the bottom. Looks quite good, and I've used it on mobile and it works well. I'd say one of the downsides is that it's not massively customizable. There is customization available, but it's not the same as, for example, Shareaholic. Another downside is the page itself can look a bit overwhelming for new users and a bit confusing. They could make it look a bit slicker, but with time that might happen. But overall, it's a good plugin. But to summarize, my favorite plugin is Shareaholic. I feel like it's very slick. I like how you can preview it on screen before, on the settings page before you go and look at it on the website and make changes in the live in front of you. And it's also got many customization options available. I do like also about Shareaholic that it's got extra options which can bring visitors to your e-commerce site or blog or whatever your website might be. The downside of it, of course, that I mentioned was that it might be a bit overwhelming, but overall it's my favourite plugin. I think it's fantastic. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm Jonathan from Buildawebs, and thank you for watching the video.